Good word. Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Truman. Has anyone signed up for public comment?
Morning, Commissioners. Les Truman, General Counsel. We have one individual who had signed up for public comments. Ms. Leah Kelly, if you could unmute yourself and begin.
Hi, thank you. My name is Leah Kelly. I am the parent of a 17-year-old autistic young adult. And I'm commenting today regarding the services that we have received from the Texas Workers Commission. So I am speaking to express my frustration with the difficulty that I have faced in trying to receive vocational rehabilitation services for my daughter who is autistic. My daughter's goal is to achieve independent living, but the delays in receiving services are hindering her progress towards this goal. I have tried to seek information on whether there is an ombudsman who can assist us, but despite reaching out to multiple staff members yesterday, at least 4, I have received no response, been told that there is not an ombudsman, been told that I am seeking to communicate to the wrong person and that I should speak directly to our unit manager. So I urge the commissioners to address these issues promptly and ensure that families like mine are able to access the vocational rehabilitation services that are crucial to our children's future successes. And I thank you for your attention. I do believe that it is a consumer's right to have access to the ombudsperson. And I was very disappointed in the responses that I received yesterday. I had to take an entire day off of work to facilitate communication and have no confidence that it will move us any closer towards our goal.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly, and we'll have someone from our vocational rehabilitation department reach out to you today. We have your contact information.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Good morning. On agenda item 3, we have no cases to reconsider.
Correct. No cases.
Let's move then to agenda item 4, and we'll consider tax liability cases. 2 tax cases on docket 23, none on docket 24.
For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. That's correct, Chairman Daniel. There are 2 tax liability cases on docket 23, and no cases on docket 24. The first case is TD-23-032-1023, Commissioner Esparza.
I agree with the recommendations, deny motion for reconsideration.
Commissioner Trevino.
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
The second case is TD-23-044-0723, Commissioner Esparza.
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino.
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
I agree in part with the staff recommendation. The LLC member is in employment, but the mechanics and bodywork laborers are not in employment.
We do have a majority vote.
Short form dissent.
Thank you. That concludes tax liability cases on these dockets.
Okay, no fair housing cases under agenda item 5, no child labor cases under agenda item 6. Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases on dockets 23 or 24 that are pulled for additional discussion.
That's correct. None pulled for additional discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 23 and 24.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on dockets 23 and 24.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 23 and 24.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on the wage claim short form dissent list for dockets 23 and 24.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move then to agenda item 8, consideration of unemployment insurance cases. Please proceed when you're ready.
Sorry. 331-4300, Commissioner Esparza.
We should allow one more rehearing in this case. The employer's fax reopening request was received by TWC two days after the deadline, but the employer's witnesses gave firsthand testimony that the request was filed on the day of the deadline. Although the employer was told to submit a fax confirmation sheet showing timely faxing of the company's Rule 16 request, hearing notice should have been mentioned that some other form of independent proof may suffice, such as telephone call log from a phone bill indicating fax transmission to the correct TWC fax number on the 14th of the day. Accordingly, we should allow the employer one final opportunity to present documentary evidence of a timely request under Rule 16 to reopen the appeal hearing. And the hearing notice should be specifically mentioned that the employer may submit any relevant material from an independent source.
The decision is correct. The evidence established that the employer filed a late petition to reopen. Although the employer alleged that it faxed a timely petition to reopen on the appeal deadline date, the employer has not submitted any physical evidence linked to this alleged earlier appeal, despite being granted a rehear for this specific purpose. Therefore, the employer's petition to reopen was properly dismissed as late. Affirm the AT late employer petition to reopen, late response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback.
The employer was not provided a timely opportunity to submit proof that the petition to reopen was timely filed. This creates a due process issue. Timely petition to reopen, remand.
We have not yet achieved a majority vote.
I'm sorry.
There's no majority vote yet.
Okay. We'll go with the chairman.
Thank you. Majority vote is timely petition to reopen and remand to the appeal tribunal. Did you wish to dissent, sir?
Yes, ma'am, short form dissent.
Thank you, sir.
3581198, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. Regarding the good cause issue, the claimant established that she had good cause for her failure to appear at AT1, as she was out of town at the time of the hearing. Regarding the job separation, the claimant provided credible and consistent firsthand testimony that she was fired from by her immediate supervisor because he disagreed with her distribution of the night's tips. The employer provided no rebuttal testimony to dispute the claimant's testimony and offered no explanation as to how the claimant's actions in the final incident constituted misconduct connected with the work. Therefore, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response. In the alternative, I could agree to rehear this case to obtain additional testimony, as a hearing officer failed to question the employer regarding the claimant's testimony about the final incident. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, rehear.
The AT decision should be modified. Claimant had good cause for non-appearance. As to the job separation, the claimant was scheduled for 2 shifts, but did not report for either of them, despite repeat attempts from the employer to reach her. This resulted in the claimant being discharged for incurring 2 days of no-call, no-show. While claimant contends that she was fired prior to no-call, no-shows, the claimant never testified that she was specifically told she was fired or terminated. Since claimant failed to attend scheduled work for 2 days, her action constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for a non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, sever with employer response.
The employer was not questioned about the final incident. This is material evidence that would be needed to make a supportable decision. Rehear for evidence of the final incident, and the claimant did establish good cause for AT1.
We have unanimous vote that the claimant established good cause for missing AT1. Not yet a majority vote on how to deal with the merits of the case. One moment, please.
Okay.
My apologies. Commissioner Trevino, your alternate vote was to rehear. So we do have a majority vote. A good cause has been established and rehear on the other issues.
Correct.
Thank you. And since there's no decision, there will be no dissent at this point.
Thank you.
3581553, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I don't contest the good cause issue concerning the job separation. The claimant, a custodian for a school district, was terminated when he made terroristic threats involving children. Although the claimant denied his actions, multiple witnesses corroborated the claimant's conduct and expressed discomfort with the claimant's behavior. Furthermore, since the claimant had prior warnings about his workplace conduct, the claimant's use of language indicated harm was mismanagement of his position of employment. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing, misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
The decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant established good cause for missing AT1, as he did not receive the hearing notice. Regarding the job separation, the employer discharged the claimant for making inappropriate comments to coworkers. The claimant denied the allegations under oath, and the employer presented no firsthand evidence to support the allegations. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT. Claimant had good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer, void adequate response.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer, void adequate employer response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
3590657, Commissioner Esparza.
We should affirm the AT decision. Do not contest the good cause issue concerning the job separation. Despite being on final warning for attendance, claimant was separated when she had a no call, no show for mandatory work shift. Although the claimant was provided adequate notice and allowed time to make the necessary arrangements, she did not report to work. Since claimant was on final warning but thereafter refused to appear for mandatory work assignment, her conduct was mismanaged for a position of employment. As such, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing, misconduct, no chargeback.
The AT decision is not fully supportable. I agree that the claimant established good cause for missing AT1, as the claimant did not receive the hearing notice because it was mailed to an incorrect address. However, regarding the job separation, the claimant was discharged for missing a required weekend shift due to lack of childcare. The claimant had childcare for her normal Monday through Friday work week, but did not have Saturday childcare. Since the claimant was not routinely required to work weekends, and since she gave the employer advance notice that she could not work the Saturday shift as requested due to lack of childcare, the claimant's inability to work the requested shift does not constitute misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT. Claimant had good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
3598994, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. Although the claimant initially misread the hearing instructions, she figured out her mistake and made a good faith effort to participate in the hearing by calling within 5 minutes after the hearing starting time. Therefore, the claimant had established good cause for her failure to appear at the prior hearing. Reverse the AT. Claimant established good cause for AT1. Resubmit.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant failed to attend the hearing because she misread the hearing notice. This does not constitute good cause for the claimant's non-appearance at the AT ruling on this issue should remain intact. As to the underlying job separation, the claimant quit her job due to alleged harassment at the workplace. However, the employer offered the claimant a solution to transfer to another department. Despite this remedy, the claimant still quit her job without notice. As such, the claimant quit work without connected good cause. We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for her non-appearance, voluntary leaving.
Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, voluntary leave.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
3602048, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant resigned because he continually was harassed by a coworker. The claimant's testimony regarding the coworker's actions was corroborated by several firsthand witnesses. The claimant also complained to his manager about being harassed by the coworker and filed a formal complaint with HR. Yet his concerns were not addressed by the employer. Since the claimant established that the coworker's actions made the working conditions intolerable, and the claimant made a good faith effort to resolve his concerns prior to quitting, the claimant had good cause connected with the work to quit. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback, void adequate response.
We should modify the AT decision. The claimant had issues with the coworker. However, he did not report these to management and HR until shortly before quitting. Once the claimant filed his complaint, the employer began an investigation, but the claimant quit suddenly and without notice. This was before the investigation was complete. Furthermore, the claimant's own witness and former manager testified that no one, including the claimant, had complained about the coworker. Thus, because the claimant quit without providing the employer reasonable opportunity to address his complaint, the claimant, quit without work-connected good cause. We should modify the AT decision, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
Voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate response rule.
My apologies.
A short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Case number 3602-331, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved her work for a gig economy employer and self-employment. As such, the continued claim dated May 20th of 2023 should be voided. Void the continued claim, set aside the AT decision, and set aside the job separation determination.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant stopped work due to personal reasons. Specifically, the claimant encountered transportation issues. As such, the claimant quit without work-connected good cause. Affirm the AT decision, voluntary leave.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim memo to investigate availability.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. And we will send that memo.
Case number 3608-962, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved her work for a gig economy employer and self-employment. As such, the continued claim dated June 3rd of 2023 should be voided. Void the continued claim, set aside the AT decision, and set aside the job separation determination.
We should affirm the AT decision. Claimant stopped working due to personal issues with her transportation because the claimant did not establish good cause to quit. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim memo to investigate availability.
Short form dissent.
Thank you. And we will send the memo.
Case number 3613-547, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. I don't contest that the employer filed a timely appeal. Regarding the job separation, the claimant was discharged for allegedly taking food from the employer's kitchen. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony that the food was her personal property and denied the employer's allegation that she violated any company policy. The employer provided only hearsay testimony and redacted statements in support of their allegations. Therefore, the employer has failed to meet its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, employer filed a timely appeal. No misconduct, chargeback.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I agree that the employer's appeal was timely. Concerning the merits, the employer began an investigation after learning that food was missing from the kitchen. The employer provided statements from 6 witnesses who had seen the claimant removing food from the kitchen in violation of the employer's policy. When questioned, all witnesses separately identified the claimant as the person responsible for taking the food. In light of the claimant's weak denial, the employer has met its burden of proving that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. We should modify the AT decision. The employer filed a timely appeal, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Timely employer appeal, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir. That was the last unemployment insurance case. Pulled for additional discussion on docket 23. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 23.
Move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 23.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 23.
I concur with the motion, the chairman's motion, except for the cases in which I am dissenting as reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 23.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you. Moving to docket 24.
Case number 309-2615, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. Although the claimant's appeal was filed a few days after the appeal deadline for the initial determinations, the claimant had stopped filing for her benefits and had returned to work by the time the determinations were issued. Therefore, the claimant was unaware of the need to continue checking for the electronic correspondence from the commission. As such, the claimant's appeal should be deemed timely and the case remanded back to the AT to obtain testimony on the merits, including whether the provisions of section 207.045 G1 apply to the separation or whether the work performed by the claimant was done so in employment. Reverse the AT, timely claimant appeal, remand.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant filed her appeal beyond the appeal deadline. Claimant gave good cause reasons for her failure to file her appeal in a timely manner. However, there is no good cause exception to the timeliness rules. Accordingly, the claimant's appeal should be dismissed as late. From the AT decision, untimely claimant appeal, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Untimely claimant appeal, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3095494, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant filed a timely appeal to the initial determinations. However, a hearing was not scheduled until 5 months later. The claimant appeared for this hearing, but was then informed that it was just a preliminary hearing and that the actual hearing would have to be rescheduled. The next hearing was not scheduled for another 8 months, meaning the hearing was not held until over 13 months after the determinations. By this time, the claimant was recovering from a recent emergency surgery and unable to personally check her mailbox, resulting in her not receiving the hearing notice until shortly after the hearing start time. The extreme delay in scheduling the hearing and other surrounding circumstances contributing to the claimant's non-appearance provided her with good cause for missing AT1. Reverse the AT, claimant had good cause for AT1, resubmit.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant's non-appearance at the AT hearing can ultimately be tied back to her not regularly checking her mail. As such, she did not have good cause for non-appearance. As for the underlying ability and overpayment issues, the remainder of the available record is sufficient to support affirmation of those issues. We should therefore affirm the AT decision. Claimant did not have good cause for non-appearance. Availability not eligible from December 19th, 2021 to January 1st, 2022, overpayment.
Claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, availability and eligibility from December 19th, 2021 to January 1st, 2022, overpayment.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3541526, Commissioner Esparza.
We should modify the AT decision. First, I agree that the employer established good cause for missing the AT hearing. Concerning the job separation, although the claimant was repeatedly advised that her leave request was denied, the claimant nonetheless disregarded the employer's express denial and took the unauthorized leave. Since the claimant should have been aware that the failure to follow employer directives could have negative consequences, including termination of employment, the claimant's direct violation of the employer's instructions entailed misconduct connected with work. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The employer established good cause for missing the AT hearing, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The decision should be affirmed. I don't contest that the employer established good cause for missing AT1. Regarding the job separation, the claimant provided credible firsthand testimony that the vacation request she submitted a month earlier was denied by her supervisor the day before her scheduled vacation. When the claimant said that she had already purchased a plane ticket, the supervisor told her that she could do what she wanted and did not inform her that her employment would be adversely affected as a result. The claimant took her vacation. However, when she returned the following week, the supervisor informed her that she would be only working as needed. The employer then did not offer the claimant any further work for 3 weeks. Therefore, the claimant was laid off due to lack of work because the employer changed the claimant to an as-needed employee and did not offer the claimant any work for the next several weeks. Affirmed the AT, employer had good cause for missing AT1. no misconduct, chargeback.
Employer established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3569824, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant had good cause for her failure to appear at AT1, as she did not receive the hearing notice. Regarding the job separation, the claimant provided credible and consistent firsthand testimony that she reported to the employer's office the next business day after her assignment ended and signed in on a tablet as requested, fulfilling the employer's reporting requirement. The employer did not provide any firsthand testimony regarding whether the claimant reported for reassignment, and their documentary evidence was insufficient to overcome the claimant's sworn testimony. Since the claimant reported for a reassignment as requested and was not offered additional work, the claimant was laid off due to lack of work. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, void chargeback.
We should modify the AT decision. First, do not contest the good cause issue concerning the job separation. Despite being aware that the employer's reporting policy, the claimant was separated when she did not follow the employer's guidelines for reporting availability. Since claimant did not report availability within the period specified under the employer's guideline, claimant separation was voluntary and without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the AT decision. Claimant established good cause for missing the AT hearing, voluntary leaving void, the chargeback.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, voluntary leaving, void, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3587882, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was dealing with an emergency medical situation involving a family member at the time of the hearing. Though the claimant did not leave town until after the hearing date, the claimant was unable to participate in the hearing due to the situation. Since the claimant was prevented from participating in the hearing by circumstances beyond his control, the claimant has established good cause for his failure to appear at AT1. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We should modify the AT decision. First, we should sever the issues of validity of claim, reasonable assurance, and adequacy of the employer's response. Concerning good cause, although the claimant timely received the AT hearing packet, he failed to appear due to personal circumstances unrelated with the work. As such, the claimant did not establish good cause. Concerning the job separation, although the claimant was trained on identifying testing irregularities, he was terminated when multiple instances of academic dishonesty transpired at the claimant's classroom. Since the egregious level of the academic dishonesty should have been discerned by the claimant, his failure to determine and take action on obvious dishonesty was misconduct connected with work. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT hearing, misconduct, no chargeback, sever the reasonable assurance, validity of claim, and adequate response issues.
Claimant established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3609009, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is correct. The employer discharged the claimant after it was alleged that she was rude towards a secret shopper and refused to give the shopper paperwork to complete. However, the employer only presented uncertain secondhand testimony to support this contentions of the claimant's unprofessional behavior. The claimant, on the other hand, denied under oath that she was rude to any patient or refused to give any patient paperwork. Since the claimant denied the allegations of misconduct under oath, while the employer only offered secondhand testimony to support the allegations, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant's discharge was for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The AT decision should be reversed. The claimant provided inconsistent testimony regarding circumstances surrounding her termination. Meanwhile, the employer provided a description of the final incident by stating the claimant provided poor customer service toward a secret shopper. The employer also stated that the claimant was verbally counseled numerous times. As such, the claimant's failure to provide satisfactory customer service during the final incident, in light of having been verbally counseled numerous times, was mismanagement of her position of employment and misconduct connected with work. We should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no charge back, adequate employer response. In the alternative, I could also support a rehearing in this case to allow the employer's witness who was unable to participate at the AT hearing due to being on a flight to provide testimony about the facts of this case. Please rehear.
Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3610891, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. While emphasized with the circumstances surrounding the claimant's absences, she nonetheless violated the employer's attendance policy while on final warning. Claimant contends that she secured permission from her supervisor to be off for the final absence in question. However, the text message evidence that the claimant submitted does not contain the words approved or granted anywhere. Seeking clarification from the employer about the status of her leave request was within the claimant's power to control, and her failure to do so while on a final warning for absentee issues constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
The decision is not correct. The claimant was discharged for attendance issues. The claimant's final absences were due to a tragic death of a close relative. The claimant informed her supervisor of her need to be absent for the next 3 days to travel to the funeral, and the supervisor responded with, "Okay, I'm sorry for your loss." However, the employer then discharged the claimant for attendance violations. Since the claimant's final absences were due to attending a funeral of a close relative family member, with notice and seeming permission from her supervisor, the claimant's discharge was for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3613737, Commissioner Trevino.
AT decision is supportable. The claimant was discharged for using the login credentials of another employee to access the employer's system. The claimant provided credible firsthand testimony that it was common practice for employees to share their access credentials when they get locked out of the system until their passwords could be reset. The employer initially fired both the complainant and the coworker for this incident, but then rehired the coworker when it discovered that there were ongoing issues of access sharing. Since the employer was aware of others sharing access credentials and rehired the coworker who had shared access with the complainant's discharge were for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should reverse the AT decision. The employer's policy specified that violation of employer integrity or ethics could lead to termination of employment. Although the claimant was previously warned for unauthorized customer access, the claimant was separated when she accessed a customer's account using a coworker's work credentials. Next, the claimant's assertion that she received employer consent is incredulous, as the employer's text messages clearly advise the claimant to use her own credentials when logging in. Since the claimant was aware of the employer's rule on maintaining integrity, her unauthorized use of a coworker's account entailed work-connected misconduct. As such, we should reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3619579, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant filed a valid claim. As to the job separation, the case requires analysis of section 207045 G1 of the Act. At the time the claimant took the job with the named employer, her rate of pay was above her maximum wage demand because she, because of a scheduled adjustment In other words, the claimant never worked for the named employer at a rate of pay that was below her maximum wage demand. As such, the work with the named employer cannot be considered unsuitable because based on the claimant's rate of pay. What remains is the claimant quitting her job with the named employer due to lack of transportation, which was always the responsibility of the claimant. The employer also stated that work was still available. Since the claimant quit for personal reasons while work was still available, she quit without work-connected good cause. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, valid claim, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
The AT decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant filed a valid claim. However, regarding the job separation, the claimant was receiving benefits at the time that she accepted this job, and she only worked for a few days. The work was unsuitable as her record of pay was lower than her commission established wage demand at the time of her initial claim. Therefore, the claimant had good cause for quitting. Modify the AT, valid claim, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
Valid claim, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir. And that was the last unemployment insurance case pulled for additional discussion on docket 24. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 24.
Move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 24.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 24.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases in which I am dissenting as reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 24.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll take a short recess. All right, moving on to agenda item 9, this is statewide initiatives for fiscal year 2025 operating budget and fiscal year 26 and 27 legislative appropriations requests.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna. For the record, Irene Tanguma, TWC Budget Director. The document presented are staff recommendations for the statewide initiatives 2025 operating budget and the 2026 through 2027 legislative appropriations request. Later this summer, we'll bring the remaining operating budget and LAR items to you for approval once the LPP releases the LAR instructions. The document has been briefed, represents the requested statewide initiatives budgeted amounts for fiscal year 2025 through fiscal year 2027 for childcare, Town of Choices, WIOA, adult education, and employment services programs, along with any projected commission reserve balances for each program. As this packet represents the statewide initiatives budget, there are intertwined programmatic aspects to this discussion. For that reason, program staff are also available to help answer any questions, any program-related questions that you may have. That concludes my remarks, and at this time, I would open it up to you for any comments, questions, or actions.
All right, any comments or questions?
Chairman, we have seen a continued growth and interest in the apprenticeship programs with an increase of more than 28% from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24. To meet that demand, I propose allocating an additional $2,088,527 to Chapter 133 Apprenticeship Program. This funding will allow TWC to continue to support the same number of contact hours in fiscal year 25, while preserving the contact hour rate at $4. Also, attending the Foster Youth Conference last month affirmed the critical need for the Foster Youth Network. I am requesting an additional $200,000 in fiscal year 25 for outreach efforts to promote the website and ensure foster youth are aware of this valuable resource. And that concludes my remarks.
Chairman, I've got two proposals. First, propose to set aside funds for specific initiatives. Proposal 1, I'd like to request 1.5 million in WIOA funds to be set aside to support transitioning service members, specifically focused on Central Texas Board's Fort Cavazos, as they're the largest need for this program. Their dislocated worker program that supports transitioning service members and their families. This is what that money would go toward. I've drafted a discussion paper that builds on previous staff discussion paper, expands the current military family support program statewide initiative, essentially expanding that initiative for specific reasons. Commissioner, I ask for your proposal, ask for consideration in this initiative, again, to use 1.5 million supporting the transition service members in Central Texas there. Proposal 2 revolves around childcare for small business. I'd like to request setting aside $5 million in childcare funds for a Texas Small Business Family Support Program that can provide financial assistance to small business owners to help them cover the costs of childcare services. The intent would be to enable small business owners to focus on the growth and success of their businesses while ensuring their employees have access to affordable childcare. I'd like to request staff to help develop a discussion paper for my fellow commissioners to consider at a future policy agenda meeting. My idea that the program would provide much needed financial assistance to small business owners again and enable them to access reliable child services. Intent would be to provide financial assistance for eligible small business owners to cover child care expenses for the employees. Thank you for your consideration, Chairman. Commissioners.
All right, any other comments or questions?
None for me.
So there's a couple ways we can do this. So I'm gonna vote no on all these because I haven't had a chance to review them.
Yep.
Or I'll second all of them and we can table them and bring them back at a subsequent commission meeting. To give me time to think about them, specifically on apprenticeship. Just full disclosure, I'm opposed to setting aside additional WIOA funds for Chapter 133 apprenticeships unless we take that into context with what our legislative appropriations request would be for legislative, in this case, general revenue funds to fund that. I am interested in having a discussion about what we might do for one more year while we work with the legislature to see if there's any interest legislatively to increase the appropriation for that. I think us doing it unilaterally, I think that's problematic. I think it's a good conversation with legislature, one that I'm certainly willing to engage in. I do support the program, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I think we need to probably have a little longer range kind of plan for that. And I'd like to discuss that further. With regard to the 200,000 for the foster youth networker conference.
No, it was to make the youth aware of it. So in talking with, the different, network providers, they say that, you need to put it out there to have everybody know where to go to it. Otherwise, the network is just there by itself. And for the first one, I think we weren't just talking about, WEO funds. We were talking about having, staff look at where we could get that from, maybe.
Okay.
In general, so.
Well, all right, here's what I think. Do we have any problems with what staff's already presented in terms of, is there anything we want to get rid of that is been presented by staff? In terms of, at least in terms of commission reserve dollars and statewide initiatives. So we probably should vote these out today so they can get busy on that, because I think there's a July 1st deadline on that. So it would be super cool if we could help them like that. I don't think adding money to these things, which we may do at the next meeting or the meeting after that, I don't think that causes a problem if we beef something up later, like your request on the foster youth stuff or military family support. I mean, we can come back and add money later. I've never, Mr. Stern, have you ever heard anybody complaining about us adding money to something? I haven't. Yeah, I haven't either. And so we should probably vote out statewide initiatives so staff can work on that. So
Those are existing.
Yeah, the
programs. Yeah,
existing things
I'd be
that
happy
are
to serve that, vote those up.
yeah. Is everybody, I'm kind of talking off the cuff here. I want to make sure everybody's understanding what I'm saying. So what I would say is the four amendments that we heard today, I would second those and then immediately move to have those tabled to a subsequent meeting. Presumably the next commission meeting, which I don't think is next Tuesday. I think it's the Tuesday after that. Do we have one next Tuesday? Do I have them reversed? We'll bring them back next Tuesday.
Okay.
Those four amendments. So I would move we approve the statewide initiatives as part of the fiscal year 2025 operating budget as presented today by staff. We'll hear the amendments next week. Is there a second for my motion?
I second.
Concur.
It's been moved and seconded. Some real quick commentary on what was presented by staff. There were several statewide initiatives that were approved in September of 2023. And several of those initiatives are pending performance data before we would make a decision on future funding. I understand that. I was for that. I still think that's a good idea. But a question I would like answered, doesn't have to be answered today. You can answer it sometime this week, is why has there been such a long delay in some of these initiatives being launched? And what are some things we can do to reduce these types of delays on launching initiatives? So if somebody will come by and answer that question for me, I would very much appreciate it. All right, any other comments or questions regarding statewide initiatives as presented by staff? Is there any objection to the statewide initiatives as presented by staff? Hearing no objection, that motion carries. We will pick up the four proposed amendments from today next week at that commission meeting. All right, moving on to agenda item 10, this discussion consideration, possible action regarding an order to adopt program year 24 and fiscal year 25 allocations and distributions for WIOA, AEL, Child Care and Rapid Response.
Chairman, Commissioners, again, for the record, Irene Tanguma, TWC Budget Director. This morning, you have before you the fiscal year 2025, program year 2024, WIOA Adult Youth and Dislocated Worker allocations and associated rapid response distribution. along with the TANF allocations and childcare allocations. Using the recently released Department of Labor WIOA state allotment and updated data factors, TWC will be allocating $220,899,514 in combined WIOA adult, youth, and dislocated worker funds, along with an additional $936,173 in rapid response funding. This represents a 3% increase over the prior year allocation. The rapid response funding is equal to 1.25% of the statewide dislocated worker allotment, the same as fiscal year 2023. We're also bringing forward the fiscal year 2025 childcare allocation in the amount of $1,319,162,553 and $74,481,190 for the TANF allocation. That concludes my remarks. Without any objection, I will post these planning estimates on our website, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move to adopt the program year 2024, fiscal year 2025 allocations and distributions for the Workforce Initiative and Opportunity Act, Adult Education and Literacy, Childcare, and Rapid Response Programs as recommended today by staff.
A second.
Boo who's second, this motion carries. Thank you so much. Is there an executive director's report today? All right, is there any other order of business come before the commission?
I've got something to propose. I mean, forgive me, Les, if I'm out of place here. I didn't want to add this to any statewide initiative, wasn't ready for it yet, but this is just kind of a request for staff to assist me. Related to work in Texas, basically the platform that businesses and job seekers use to search and find jobs. I'd like to see if I can get with staff to get a history about the recent replacement that we did. I think it's fairly new, or maybe a couple years old. If anybody can jump in and correct me while I'm saying this. I kind of want to see what that usability is currently, whether or not it's meeting standards, whether it's meeting our standards, what we should see as a platform that provides the basic service that this agency represents, and if there's any plans in the future to optimize its use and usage. Again, ideally for usability for job seekers and also usability for employers that are growing, continue to grow, continue to post jobs, and whether or not we can partner with other platforms that have kind of figured it out. Again, I'm just throwing it out there. Happy to work with you guys and try to see what we can do for that.
Yes, sir. We'll be glad to do that. Just for clarification, I think that WIT was replaced in 2018.
Okay.
Right, 2018, 2019, that timeframe.
So
But
COVID
we'll,
battered it.
yeah,
COVID
but we'll
hit it pretty
we'll
hard.
provide we'll get with your office, provide that information, and then talk about alternatives, and then visit with the other offices as well before we move forward. We were already talking about that.
Okay.
Now we will need to do something, just a little bit of a preview. We will need to do something in the interim before we move to something new, because that'd be a major procurement or a
Yeah.
build or something like that. But yes, sir, we'll get with your office. That's not an issue at all.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right, any other order of business come before the commission?
Yeah, Chairman, I just wanted to thank and welcome all the new faces that are here in the TWC and the commissioner meeting, and welcome Regina Macias, who is our intern to the labor office. She's been doing outstanding so far, and hope you all have a great internship summer.
Same.
I think we're gonna meet with all the interns here in just a second. You could sort of feel the energy in the room. We're used to Mr. Troman's lethargy
different.
on commission mornings, but I mean, like, you could feel the new energy in the room. I'm kidding, of course. Mr. Troman never has lethargy, but I'm just prolonging the adjournment so the interns can build some anticipation for all the photographs that Jimmy's about to force us to take. So they thought I didn't see him lurking back there, but I did. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move we adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned.